way, and here we go, folks. Randy in the yellow trunks, he is playing Protoss right here. Okay, race picking by the looks of it. I thought he was randoming. I suppose he could be random. Randy is primarily a Zerg player, so picking Protoss is kind of weird. I think people are actually allowed to race pick in this tournament, so it's not really a huge deal, but still, fairly sure you might have to lock in your race choice for the finals, but at this stage, it should be right. Either that or he's registered as random, which would make sense. Arcanewinds in the purple trunks, he is playing Terran. This is Testbug. Testbug is named after a famous Brood War mapmaker, and it's very weird in terms of the terrain used. It's a odd map, I put it that way. It's actually kind of designed for 3 players, but of course nobody plays 3-player StarCraft, so that's fairly irrelevant, and it's a 1 versus 1 matchup. That's why it's weird. You can see right there, you've got all of these crazy different terrain styles that are going on. And you've also got a rather large network of Xel'Naga watchtowers, but they're buried under these rocks. So you have to make your way through in order to get access to that. I believe there's one open Xel'Naga watchtower. And if you get control of these Xel'Naga watchtowers, you basically gain the ability to stop your opponent from getting to you. And that's the best thing about it. Gaining map control on this particular map, especially if you happen to be, say, a Zerg player where you can afford to have all sorts of things lying all over the place, is awesome. Randy, of course, is not going to have that advantage this time around, but he's going to push forward anyway and see what he can actually pull off. Randy keeping an eye on things, looking to see what he can see. A barracks coming down for Arcanewinds right now, and I've never actually seen Randy play Protoss, honestly. I don't know how good his Protoss actually is. I've heard that he has played it in a few tournaments, so we'll see how that works out for him. Arcanewinds and Randy, a little bit of fisticuffs going on right there, a little bit of bar fight action. In fact, one might say that the probe was indeed eyeing up his misses, and I think that's actually the technical term for it. You'd be surprised, these Southerners from America, you've got these sort of Confederate, what would be the word? I wouldn't really call them rednecks so much. I think that's a little bit overkill, but still. So I've got these redneck space marines, and I'm fairly sure they don't use the word to iron up your misses, but whatever the case. Some of them have got to be British, but there you go. Expats, folks. Expats. There's quite a few states that actually do that. Second gas coming down for Randy, so no full gateway play for him, unless, of course, he's faking it, which is a possibility. Has been known to happen. There's all sorts of strategies right now sort of coming onto the scene in order to try and hide the fact that you're really full gating. And one of them is to put up an assimilator. That's probably the least risky one, because what you can do there, of course, is think, what's he doing? Is he going Blink Stalker? Is he going into Robo or something like that? Alternatively, there is the more extreme version, which is the Nexus Cancel. What you do is you pretend that you're going for a expansion, and then you cancel out of it, and you actually go into a 4-gate. So that works too. It's been known to happen. It's working less and less lately, because I think once it actually went into the metagame, people started expecting it a bit more, and they were getting way more suspicious of supposedly fast expanding Protoss players. Second gateway coming down. Will he go for the third? Looks like he's not going to do that. I don't know, man. His minimal count is not so great, so he might have to wait for a little while. In the meantime, Arcanewinds sitting on Marauders, sitting on Marines. SCV's pushing forward, looking for once again for that bunker contain. However, Randy's going to see that coming a mile away, and it might not work quite so well. We shall find out as he pushes forward right now. Those 2 gateways might be complete by the time that this attack actually hits. We do have a pylon coming down, no photon cannons, no forge available. Randy will at least be able to prevent an initial push up here, but that sentry doesn't have energy for another, but he does follow it up with a second sentry. Smart move by him, looking to get that warp gate, but there we go, nice block there, and Arcanewinds immediately denied. I mean, he could, if you want, to try and put a bunker down at the bottom of the ramp, but it doesn't look like he's actually going to bother doing that right now. Honestly, it's too easy to pick your way through that, since you can have stalkers on the cliff, and you don't have visibility, so you can't actually shoot back, which is a little bit disadvantageous for anyone attempting to do something like that. And this is kind of the area you want to put it in to prevent a fast expansion, but Randy's not even looking into that right now. He's got a quick warp in right now, more stalkers, and another zealot coming in. Arcanewinds not in a bad position, certainly. He's got an engineering bay up. His mineral count is looking good. His economy is in a reasonable state. And we're looking at 25 work supply versus 28 for the Protoss. But, you know, there's nothing unusual about that. Protoss is almost always ahead at this stage in the game, so that's not bad for him. Pylon going down there, so we might even see a few buildings maybe blocking that off and then going into an expansion to follow that one up. However, Randy looking to try and get aggressive right now. We'll see how much damage he can really do with a mid-ish game push. pushing forward right now on the 7-minute mark, and this is about the time when Arcanewinds would be expecting a full gateway attack, but he's probably not thinking that's going to happen. The thing is, he's got the forces he needs, and he's got a bunker cone down as well, so even if he doesn't suspect it, he's going to be able to deal with this push. 3 gateway aggression, nowhere near as strong as 4, especially bearing in mind that he doesn't have a pylon backing him up this time around. Will he pick off the SCV? He will. SCV it down before that bunker, and the bunker will have to be cancelled right now. And Arcanewinds redeploying into another defensive position, and Randy's not really going to be able to get up that ramp without taking horrendous losses. Arcanewinds once again making the same mistake that he did before. I'm not entirely sure what level Arcanewinds actually is, but the main problem with his play right now that I'm seeing is he's got a bunch of SCVs doing nothing, and they could be mining, and as a result he's actually lagging behind in terms of his economy. As you can see right there, he could be ahead of his opponent right now. He could at least be doing something with it, but he's not. Little bit unfortunate. Those SCVs, of course, could be mining gas. And you see that he, as far as I can tell, is saturated on his mineral line, but he only has 1 gas, so nothing wrong with having spare gas. There is significantly more wrong with having SCVs just idling, doing nothing. With the cancels out of the bunker right now. Does Randy have a forward pylon? He actually does, although it's in a fairly weird place. He puts that much forward. Here comes the attack right here from Arcanewinds. Will he be able to push it away more to the point? He's taking a lot of damage. He actually is not going to be able to push that away. Look at that force field play. That is just... Oh, that must make anybody who... You can't do that. That's ridiculous. Stacking force fields on top of each other, and Arcanewinds was just annihilated by Randy. Force field play right there. He had about 3 or 4 fully charged sentries, and he just mauled his opponent with them, crushed him against the side of it, and those guys were not able to do anything whatsoever. And here comes the forward pylon. This is when the pressure will start to be applied by Randy, and Arcanewinds will certainly be able to hold the line for the time being. I'm really more concerned about the fact he doesn't have his siege tanks. I mean, if he's going to be in a situation where he has to hold against a offense like this, then he's got to do 2 things. Either you've got to drop if you're being contained in your base, or you've got to break out using siege tanks. Both of those are a possibility, considering just how close this natural expansion actually is. So he could probably do damage from here, but he's got no sign of that. He does have a factory coming up now, but it's going to take him ages to, 1, get the factory up, 2, get a siege tank out, and 3, of course, get siege tech available for that. The economy of Randy is streaming ahead as a result of now having a second base, and looks like he's fully saturated in terms of his mineral count, near enough. And that's looking really good for him. Army supply in favor of him, and he's also got a 6-worker lead. So Randy is looking very, very strong right now. Arcanewinds is in a bit of trouble. He can certainly get out of it, no doubt about that. I wouldn't call him completely and totally doomed. But he is in a dodgy and dicey situation where Randy will be able to apply pressure and, more to the point, expand behind it at will. There's the Observer, could even end up getting some balls out there. Nice scan there by Arcanewinds, actually. He saw that coming across, and that's the kind of thing that is the mark of somebody who's very attentive. What you can find is that you can just see the blur on the field, and it's good enough, certainly, and if you're quick with the scan, you can nail the Observer down. So, nice play by him. We've got a starport on the way up and a reactor coming down. What's the reactor coming down on? That's actually coming down on there, which means I think he's just going to swap that over. It's a little bit late, but there's nothing to really worry about. It's not a huge deal. The swap right now will be going into a Marine Marauder Medivac, and the problem is he doesn't actually have the numbers to make this effective. His economy is not in a good enough state. He can't put this anywhere, and an Observer once again caught right back there by Arcanewinds. Arcanewinds has got a very good eye and able to take out 2 Observers in as many minutes. The follow-up coming in, Robotics Bay coming up. There's a 3rd Observer. I actually really like this from Randy. A lot of Protoss players don't do this because Observers actually don't cost that much, and if you've got quite a lot of excess gas, you can easily just push Observers over and over again and just keep an eye on your opponent, make sure that no kind of nonsense comes your way. Still no sign of siege tanks right now, and with the Observer he's able to do a lot of damage to that bunker. He's not willing to go in, especially not with the Stim Marines and Marauders trying to do as much damage as possible. That is a lot of sentries on the field for Randy right now. Look at 7, and we've got 8 Stalker, 7 Zealot as well, 5 more Stalkers to back it up, and the Robotics Bay. The army supply count very much in favor of him. Arcanewinds trapped in his base with nowhere to go and nowhere to hide, and this is the only option you have right now. If you can't break the siege, you have to drop, and of course it's risky because that means if Randy decides this is a great time to attack, those bunkers probably won't hold, but still, what else can you do? Honestly, what else can you do in this situation? There we go. 2 medevacs on the way. A deadly cargo, folks. He turns around, decides not to go for it. Interesting stuff. That's why, because here comes the push. That's quite this. Wow, that's quite the force field line right there. Dear. You know, I'd like to say that Arcanewinds actually had a chance here, but it really, really didn't look like it was going to happen. Being trapped in the base for that long is just unpleasant, and Randy took full advantage of that. He actually saw it coming past. If you know where the pylon was placed, it was very smart, because that was a good trajectory. Yeah, I can't pronounce that word. Trajectory, folks, for a set of drops to come over. It did, and Randy saw it and immediately took advantage of that to clean out the front line of Arcanewinds. Arcanewinds now has no wall off of any description. The bunkers are completely out of place. Now moving to intercept what he thinks is coming his way, which actually is. You know, he does have those 2 full medivacs coming in. And Randy now deciding, no, he's not going to bother with that. A little bit risky, honestly. We'll keep an eye on where these are actually going. They will drop into the second base, I would think, and they will deal quite a lot of damage. However, Randy could probably finish this before that happens, so I wouldn't be too concerned. A full warping at the front, a Colossus as well. Should be able to clean out Arcanewinds. Needs to go in right now, and he realizes that. There's the Observer, and honestly, Arcanewinds doesn't have what I would call a particularly good defense force right now. Cleaned out very quickly by that Colossus. Colossus doesn't actually have a range upgrade right now, and it doesn't really matter. There's the force field, no reinforcements for you, and that command center after being placed. To look at how very close he is to being mined out. In the meantime, here comes the drop right here. However, I don't think he's got the numbers. He's got a lot of Stalkers and that Immortal in the field as well. A lot of damage done to the economy of Randy, but the thing is he can afford it, so it doesn't really matter. And now Randy in the base of his opponent. Arcanewinds forced all the way back, and there's not a lot that he can really do about this. One factory on fire. Up goes the starport, and Randy cleaning house right now without any problems whatsoever. Arcanewinds was bottled in his base the entire game. If it's going to start drop harassment, he should have done it way earlier than that, or at least got some siege tanks out to try and at least gain a bit of control over his natural expansion. Whereas the thing is, he could cover his natural expansion with siege tanks from the cliffs. That didn't happen. GG, ladies and gentlemen, and Randy takes this series 2-0.